10 minutes out. Who moves his methods? I have.
Correct.
Yeah.
Did you even know I submitted this? Yeah. So that means your own office hours?
Like for students.
Yeah.
Candidates.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. What?
Did you write?
Yeah. Thank you. I did the review that first thing, so I'm gonna relook at it.
Yeah, me too. I didn't
Hopefully.
look at one, but I didn't look at one.
Mhm. I know I did it the first day, and then mhm. I'm hoping for an 8, a passing grade this time. I'm gonna guess I was like in the middle of the because I made a 63, really good made a 62.
Bunch of
I actually got like a 40.
All right, got 4 minutes. All right. Ooh. Is that what-
Stated, so you can read them into the lines.
Cool. Minutes. Wow.
Feeling like everybody's against her. I'm really trying to work on bring my family back together and do what I'm supposed to do as a husband.
All right, 3 minutes. So what's going on in the world? I notice as the day goes on, the number of people who are actually here in the classroom shifts quite a bit. People go online. I would think it'd actually be the opposite way around. It increases as you go. So, you're gonna say something. What's up?
I mean, mainly election stuff is what you're hearing about.
Yes.
That's.
Mine's getting pretty tight. Anything happen over the weekend?
That is that Trump thing, I didn't hear about that.
No, I didn't hear that.
Person.
Yeah. That's one of those things. It's like, ooh, that's a little interesting there. Those things always like that. If there's something big that goes on, you don't hear about. That's one of those. It's like, why didn't I hear about that?
Is it around?
No, golfing.
He was golfing.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, shots fired, kind of thing. So it's like, is it a local thing? Is it an assassination? Assassination, have shooter and shots. Yeah, things getting wild. Definitely interesting political times. I can't say as before I've ever heard of a presidential candidate had two attempts like that. Like, that's interesting. I don't know what to think about that. Weird time to see we're at like 2 minutes out. Hey, we're sitting 1 minute out. Today we have a fun class because what I'm going to do is I'm going to start showing you. First, we're going to talk about how you guys start doing stuff. I want to hear from you all. From there, what I'll do is I'll start showing you how I do stuff because it's going to be different than how you do stuff. It's going to be a little bit procedural, like processes that are standard, a little bit of tailoring those to whatever it is you're trying to do, and I'll show you. But we'll first start out talking about what you necessarily know to look for, because no one does. It's just if you're paying attention, you'll happen across things. Necessarily. How do you tell an error? Do something purposeful. Ooh, that's hard. I don't know if you can. Just going popped in the waiting room again. Beep. This is. Let's start with this one. Assignments. Ooh, I didn't make a quiz in here available. I need to do that. Thought I had. Front row. All right. So we have this, and it is officially 11 o'clock. Yay. Hello. Ooh, all right. How is everyone? Good. It is now.
Kind of person today.
Yeah.
I got lots of questions.
Cool. Because that's what this one's about. It's about figuring out how to deal with data and that kind of stuff. It's nasty.
A lot of it's just because I'm an old dinosaur and I don't know much about computers.
There'll be a little bit of that kind of thing, but usually what it is because there's so much crap out there, you got to sort out what the hell it is you're looking at. That's like the biggest crux of my dilemma. What am I looking at today? Kind of thing. No. Instead of kind of ways to go at it. Process is one of those things. We'll talk about that. For this one, here's what we wanted. I'm going to share this screen share this because I'm going to write up over here anyway. So missing persons. In this case, children. Kind of thing, right? Okay, we also have people saying census. So if you're trying to understand something, what's the first thing that you do?
First thing you do,
Yeah,
well, in this case, you go to the website.
yeah, you
look
start
up the
looking.
Information.
Yeah, you go bumbling around. I love it.
Yeah, that's the thing, bumbling around.
When in doubt, Magoo your way through.
Yeah.
Don't know who Mr. Magoo is. You know Mr. Magoo. You know, yeah, like I see some smiles. I see some people looking like, "Who the heck am I talking about?" Old cartoon, old guy, needs glasses, not wearing them. Polarities. Yeah. So in census, we said we need 1, 2, 3 things, right? Age, sex, and race. So there's a few different ways to do it and multiple levels across, right? We kind of talked a little bit about that when we start talking about units of analysis. So start thinking about this off the bat. So what is it we're dealing with here? What is it we're trying to analyze? Okay. There's multiple levels involved here. From nation. What's below that? Below that.
County.
What's below that?
Maybe city.
Yeah, both of those same thing. Yes. Okay. City. Municipality. What else?
Probably, boy, it breaks down more than that, probably neighborhoods or. And probably your street. You can go that far down.
Yeah.
I never drilled down that far, but
Street. Then you can go. Houses on the street. And then by the time you get to that, finally you're starting to get to people. We ran out of space here. Right? And so there's a whole bunch of levels you can look at. And these are the ones that are pretty regularly established in terms of whenever you're talking to people, they know what you're talking about. But there are some points at which we take some departures because we're trying to put a structure to something that's naturally occurring. Right? When people go and move into places, they just kind of do that naturally, whether it's like the price of house out of that area, quality of the neighborhood, schools and whatever. That kind of thing. People move around. Right? And they move around within those environments too. So here's where things get interesting. When you were in the census stuff, we were dealing just with this one. How are those broken down? What kinds of levels can you find there? Nope, that's not what I want to do. Go back. Take your back where it was. Of course, it's not going to take your back where it was. It's Blackboard.
you can break it down to a lot of different levels.
Yeah.
Like I was in there looking at it and man, age is like, okay, you got from 80 to 8 to ever. And then you got down to 0 to 4 every 5 years. And then you got male, female on that triangle pyramid.
Mhm.
That's the only thing I saw. That's my big
Yeah.
question is the only way to do that is add them all up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so there's all kinds of ways. Sometimes you have to reverse engineer stuff too.
Yeah.
That was kind of fun because if you know how to work numbers a little bit, like in terms of some programs, some of those summary measures are good enough and you can use that in your analyses. Sometimes what you have to do is you have to kind of reverse engineer it, where it's like, okay, I've got the number of people here in these different categories. Can I analyze it that way? Or I'm going to be doing something different where I need to kind of take those numbers and create a data set that looks like it. That kind of thing.
Plus, there's percentages of like, I mean, you could drill down into so
Oh,
many
yeah.
different areas.
Yeah, and then we start playing with the numbers. Is it a raw number? Is it a rate? Is it a percentage? Is it an amount? Is it, all of these are different types of questions. And all those things all have to have answers as we move forward. And so what's interesting to see is the different ways these things take departures from what we understand to be real and what it is we actually measure. And that's where things start getting real funky because we're trying to find something real, but to some degree, the ways that we're measuring it are constructions that we put in place. And we look at the census. It breaks into, of course, national, let's put up census. Right? It's got national, it's got state, it's county. What goes after that? Here it starts changing some. After county, you move off to tracts, into things called, let's see, PG, block groups. So take these counties and depending on the population, they'll divide them X number of times based on population. Those census tracts, then they divide X number of times based off population of block groups. Various sizes, various populations, various geographic territories, various things going on inside of them. This right here is usually about the closest you get over here. Right. Once you get back to streets, yeah, you got street networks. You can go back to the grid patterns, basically, for the most part. Yeah, some roads aren't straight, but a lot of them fit pretty close to grid patterns. You put that pretty well. And so you get back down here. Yeah, you won't have it in the census, but you can go get it somewhere else. So you start looking at the things you can put together. Right. While you're doing the census stuff, some of the numbers are based on households. If you look at the way that it's sampled, you look at the textbook and you read about the census, and maybe if it mentions in there, community survey, I can't remember. Or you read about the National Crime Victimization Survey. You're going to find out about the procedures they use to gather the data. Those procedures are put in place to fit the specific purpose that the census serves. We use it for something different. Its purpose doesn't always align well, producing greater errors, right? And so that's one of the things you have to understand is the levels that we have, the levels that are involved, and to some degree, there's some play involved. You'll see it here. Maybe you'll see it here. Those have hard lines kind of thing. If you look at a municipality, some don't span an entire county, some do. Some technically are bigger than county, I guess, if you think about it, because there's no hard distinction there between it and the next town, whatever. That kind of stuff gets really difficult. You also look at, like, if you're trying to classify these things, if you're dealing with actual counties, that population stuff starts coming right back in. Right? What are our cutoffs for populations for what sizes of cities, that kind of thing. All that matters. That's part of coding. That's part of your levels of measurement. Talk about that in a second. There are also different things that you could put in here as well. Maybe I want to have a collection of states here and deal with an area like the South, that kind of thing. So you can add in regions and things like that. You also have those special areas that come in that might be something a bit different, like, in this state. There's some territorial issues. Right? Whose lands, when and where, kind of thing. And so there's a different layer that may pop in at certain times. You have to be aware of how that all works as you're moving through this process, because this could potentially touch all those things.
Does the census in Oklahoma a little different too, because of the Indian nations or not?
I'd have to look into that one specifically. I don't know enough about that because I'm still
Yeah.
new to this area for that kind of purpose. I've barely touched into that. I know that some of their services feed in and are reported in, and sometimes they don't. Where those lines are drawn and what things go where, I don't know specifically. And so that's something I learn as I go. And just for whatever it is I'm touching at any point in time. Yeah. And so the first thing we need to start figuring out is, what is our actual unit of analysis? Right? We have several involved depending on how we do it, right? You guys are broken up into groups by state. Look at states. You divide those into counties, you divide those into maybe cities, maybe municipalities kind of thing. Maybe just do urban, rural kind of thing. You can do that very easily. Maybe it's tract and block groups because we want to get more down to the neighborhoods, right? Dialing down and dialing up. In terms of methodologically speaking, we can move this way. We cannot move this way. Even the process that I described you is one where you're dialing in. What I'm saying there is, as you acquire data, the data that you grab remains at the level that you grabbed it. You're going to start joining things together. You're aggregating it upwards. Right? You grab this information and you use it downwards. What you've done, ecological fallacy. It's in your textbooks. I forget which chapter it's in this first section. That is a huge issue in society. You've probably heard mentioned it. Usually it's racism, because that's the one that most people think of and do it all the time. You're dealing with one situation at one level. You're going to take it to a lower level kind of thing. It would be like take an organization, any organization. How can you tell that the organization's actions are that of any particular officers at large? Any number to include just one, administrators with the ability to change policies, procedures, and that kinds of thing, those kinds of things. And all the problems in the world, patient, right? You start to see this gets very complex very quickly. What about having most people, what they do is, okay, we see a disparity here in this level. Oh, racism. Yeah, that's not how that works. What you found is a racial effect. Disparity. If you want to make that jump, you got to go back and you got to go down to this level right here and start making some measures. Otherwise, you got nothing. Same time, you could be going at least whatever level you found out, maybe higher if it builds up. See where it ends, right? Or what it does as it moves. As you're trying to understand any one thing, first thing you do is kind of put your arms around it. You need to understand where the bookends of it are. Biggest, smallest, different types, that kind of things. They'll talk about like typologies and things like that in textbooks. Right? Think about what we did here with levels of measurement, unit of analysis kind of thing. We'll do it with levels of measurement here in a second. Unit of analysis, this kind of breakdown, we put a system into place to understand how it breaks down. The same thing as creating a typology, right? So. Now, that in place, we'll talk about levels of measurement real quick, because that's the next one. That one is gonna look like that. And that's gonna run at the same time, as you're dealing with variables at each of these levels. Nominal, ordinal, interval, ratio. Any comic book fans? Movie fans? Okay. How about wine? Alcohol fans? We're not gonna see someone. Yeah, yay, okay. You like wine? Your red wine, the dark one. Like comic books and movies, black and whites. It's a film noir. Nominal, ordinal, interval, ratio. Good way to remember it when you run out. What it means. Nominal. You just have a name. You can name a group. You typified it. Yay. Ordinal. You can place them into an order. You have a list of things that are important to you. Can you prioritize them? You can. You can only name things. Right here. If you can't name them, you got nothing. Another side of that speech conversation where it's so important. It is directly tied to the thought. There's no separation of the two. Okay. Interval and ratio are a little bit different. Talk about those together in a second. Can you name it? Are there priorities to it? Right? Ooh, good and evil. Very simplistic. Yes, no. Or maybe -1 + 1, right? You got everything in the middle. You put those in order. Right? How good it is or how bad. And what you're framing it as, you'll say two different things, but maybe you're talking about the same thing, maybe you're not. I say, feel how afraid are you? Is it the same thing or two different things? Unknown, can be the same, can be different. You gotta specify that. Voting methods, you gotta specify everything. Okay? Order, you wanna see good and evil? Go hang out with the gangs. Why? Trying that to some degree. What's really interesting there is if you look at their priorities, like as an individuals, what you'll see is what makes them evil is some of the positive characteristics of their personality were used for something not so good. And as those things shift, my favorite one to see street culture. Where you put your needs in relations to others. You want to see evil? Yours come first.
Isn't good and evil,
Relative terms.
well, it's objective term, isn't it? It's a biased term,
It is.
because it's like, okay, eating cats.
Yeah.
Okay, is that good or evil?
Oh, that's actually a really good question. 'Cause that was in the news stuff.
It has been. It depends on the culture.
Yeah. And there are some cultures that's a delicacy, right? And who's to say what's wrong? Is it a stray cat? Is it your cat? Right? Is it just your property? Or is that something that the PETA people would say something different?
Yeah, except in this case.
Yeah, that's a little interesting. It's one of those things. It's like, what aren't we saying there? That's a different thing. And to some degree, it's also the same thing. Talking about selfishness too. That order thing's important. Some things need it, some things don't. You have to be able to make the distinction there and when it really matters. It's you now. Interval and ratio. Both have to do with spacing. It's got nothing to do with the numbers. It's the numbers themselves, the difference between them actually matters. In a name, I've got the name of 3 gangs, right? The Bloods, the Crips, and the Vice Lords. I can't say anything other than 1, 2, 3, right? Is 1 better than 2 or 3, or is 3 better than, no, I can't do that. It's just a damn name. Doesn't make any sense. I can just categorize them. What that means for analyses of this type, what basically is this. Are you in? Are you out? You in one group and outside of all the rest? You in the second group and outside of all the rest? That kind of thing. Order, it's what are the odds that you fall into a higher or lower category? For this one, how much of a change do we actually see? Now we're getting somewhere. Right? You're getting somewhere the whole way through. It's just now you're really starting to quantify. You're getting a lot more specific. Money. Also money. Also money. Also money. I hate money. Why did I put that there? How you're dealing with it determines what you see to some degree. If you deal with it as a ratio, it's 0, you see what it really is. If you deal with an interval, instead of it being that big spike, you'll see that people get that population right back again because we categorize them. Because now it's 0 to 13,000, it's 13 to 25, it's 26 to what is it? 49, it's 49 to 72, it's 72 plus. So all those people that make all the money, now they're all in one category. So now it's a little bit more normal. We played with it a little bit. Ordinal. How much do you have? You have excess, you have some, you have none. Now it's in order. You're identified as rich or poor. Wait a second. Is that this one? I don't know. It depends on how you're using it. If you're using it for ethical purposes and not tying it into money, it matters nothing whatsoever. It's just a name. Right? Do you have money or not? Zero, one.
Binary.
Now it's
One or the
binary.
other.
This one's really fun because it's right back over here again. The space between matters. Right? You either do or you don't. Now you can use higher levels again because you actually made it so simple. Right? You're gonna miss some of the variation though. How things change, how much movement there is. Now it's just existence. That kind of thing. Say here. Here. But really it's right there. It's interval because you either have it or you don't. There's one interval. Okay. That's how levels of measurement and units of analysis levels matter. Higher is better. This one's a little bit different than the levels of measurement. Levels, units and levels of measurements work in the different directions. So when you look at individuals here, you can aggregate upwards. You lose some level of resolution. That's similar to what happens with this next one. But you can move this way. You cannot move this way. That one doesn't happen. I can tell you rich or poor and say, okay, well then you make 25, 50, or 75,000. I can't do that because I don't know what you actually make. Right? If I have that number though, I can put you in one of those categories pretty easily. You have to know how those numbers work. If you do it the wrong way, it's wrong. And so part of this is about that, is making sure that you're looking at unit of analysis and levels of measurement. Part of it is are you looking at this logically for what we're trying to do? part of it is the real thing. We go out there and click some buttons. Yay. That's really what I really cared about. You go out there and look and you see what this looks like, because this isn't pretty to look at. This is a lot prettier than what it used to be. But as you click into it, what you'll start seeing is, well, what do you see?
Maybe do you think technology is the reason why it's not pretty to look at these days?
A little
Back
bit.
in the old days, they filled out a form and they didn't have as much stuff to.
Yeah.
Technology, you push a button.
If I want to say it, let's say counties. Well, counties, let's go state. This is filter. Let's go to Oklahoma. Boom. Now, last time it did this before where it wouldn't show anything. Let's go into topics and see if it comes up then. Actually, let's do it this way. Rather than doing this. Clear filters. Clear. Share. Bring this up. All right, we'll start with surveys. We'll say census. Communities. So this is the other one. 1 year and 5 year estimates. I thought it was 3 year. I need to look back at that. You can go by topics. You can go by data sources. So each of these run differently. So depending on what you know, where you start looking is going to be a little bit different, right? What's our time frame for stuff? What are we going to be looking at? If it's just like a standard one-shot kind of deal and you're kind of close to the census, or there's a reason to use the census, use that one. If there's some reason you're doing a smaller time frame or something different, you might look at the American Community Survey for those years that are different, those years that are in between. We won't worry about that. We'll deal with populations and people. We'll say age and sex. Cool. And it should give me a list at some point. Where is that list at?
I got a question for you.
Yeah. Tables.
Age and sex,
There we go.
male, female. Okay, someday
Mhm.
it's not, it's gonna be, was there 54 different
No,
sexes?
it's just gonna be those two.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
how are they gonna deal with that later on?
That's a good question. That's one of those things it gets very difficult because
Mhm.
if you deal with surveys, you'll start having that in there. And so
Yeah.
basically what ends up happening is that's
Cause that's the thing, when you start looking at the race, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Mhm.
You got half white, half black, half this, half that.
Yeah,
This
it's the
the
whole
order
group
that,
that
it's
breaks down.
like, there's this big of a column and
Mhm.
they think it would be white.
Yeah.
Black,
what ends up happening.
Asian, Indian, you know,
Yeah, it fractures
Yeah.
to the point where you can't do anything with
so
it.
it's really getting weird.
Basically what ends up happening is you have to find the Goldilocks zone for all of this stuff, where there's enough variation you can do something with it, but not too little that it doesn't say anything. What ends up happening with that group most often is they're treated like they're not even there in the first place. It's too much variation, you can't understand it. Right? That's a very, because that's usually what happens unless you're getting into very specific sets of research, and then you're ended up with very low numbers, which weakens your ability to do anything. And so that's how they usually handle that is we either you can do it like this, right? Male, female. You can do it like this, traditional or non, like male, female, non-traditional. You could do it like this. Male, female, outside. You do all kinds of different things, but it would really be dictated by the numbers of people as you have in each of those categories. And that third one is usually pretty low. Over the last, what was it, couple decades, you're talking less than 5%, I think. And only within the last decade are you seeing it where it's increasing. I think they said something like the youngest generation is like 15 to 20. So it's like that's a monumental increase. Thumbs up there. Okay, so if you go over here to the tables, now it'll actually show you what I want you to see. I was in all. So click tables and it'll actually start showing you these tables.
It's crazy.
Yes. And so this one's on the American Community Survey. American Community Survey, that kind of thing. Do I have that click down here? I could use that. I want the census. You see how many pages there are there. We'll say, give me, where did I see it? Right there. Down here. Census. No. I ended up using the American Community Survey just for quick, because otherwise this is going to take me more time to hunt through all these pages. I don't want to do that. So we'll just grab one of these. This will look a little bit different then. 1 year and 5 year estimates. Basically what that is if you know a little bit about it, it's how much data they're pulling in to be able to give you numbers. Basically think of it like interpolation. I have a line between any 2 points, what that growth looks like, I can extrapolate out. Right? Interpolation is between the two, so between each census. That's what the American Community Survey does. So I'm just gonna grab one of those right now, because it doesn't really matter, because we look the same kinds of things to a large degree. Grab this one. Boom. Download tab table. Download. Is it downloading it? I have no way to tell.
It says 0 selected.
Ah, that's what it is. It wants me to select the location. We'll say state. We'll say Oklahoma. Will it give it to me now? Click. Download. Yeah, we'll say that. That's actually new. The last time I was on here, this wasn't on here.
So those are just estimates, all right?
Yeah, so they're estimates, and so I have margins of errors. So if you really want to get into it, you can actually start to deal with that kind of stuff too. Census won't necessarily have that. It's easier. That's
So
why I
what's
said
the,
that.
what's the breakdown on that? Is that the total of the state, and is it the counties? Is that what that is?
So this is overall for the state itself.
Oh, but is
Yeah.
it the county breakdown? Is that how they?
Nope, this is just overall state. So if you want to get that one, you have to dive in further and grab a different data set. So that's what the first thing I want to show you.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I see. It's the age breakdown like I was talking about earlier.
This will start to get you there.
But the top was just the grand total, and that what the categories were is what that, because you couldn't see the whole screen. You could just see part of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So as
See,
you're
that's-
dealing with that,
That's what my question is. What are you looking for on those ages? Because there's so many
That's-
different, you can have age, you could have the median age, you could have,
mhm,
each category, what are you looking for is what my question is.
that's it exactly. I
Yeah.
didn't tell you. I didn't
You
tell you the
didn't tell,
process.
yeah,
about
it's
it.
not in
I
there.
gave you some variables, and you didn't get out there and you see how many different things have age, sex, and race. in it.
Right,
And then you
exactly.
start looking at, okay, we got this here, and then you have that unit of analysis, right?
Mhm.
So we're dealing with counties, but also you're dealing with these different data sets, and how do they handle that? How did they actually measure it? Right?
Well, they measured it just like that with the age
Yeah.
group so you'd have to add all that up to get the total.
You could do that. There's another way to do it though. Here,
Okay, well, that must
I
not
might
have
have
been
to
able to find
reset
that.
this. Let's clear all filters because I wasn't wanting to think after. That's not what I wanted to do. Let's go clear filters.
If you go all counties, you go to the state, it'll take you to the
Mhm.
state. It breaks it down.
Clear filters. Clear. All right. So now we're back to nothing. We'll just deal with population totals. County.
Yeah, and it'll go to the state. It should.
There we go.
And then it'll break it down. It'll just go down the list. But man, it's
Oklahoma.
crazy as much stuff as there is in there.
All counties in Oklahoma. So now whenever I do it, you'll see it'll have different sections. Right? There's Beaver County. Da, 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 da. We'll just deal with race. That table. Race. Download. I can grab, we'll say demographics and housing. It has redistricting stuff. So that's one of those where 2010 is not available. That's funny. Download that. You won't take that one. Cancel that download.
So that chart's the one that goes 80, 85 to, and then from 0 to 4. That's what all that is.
Which one?
The one on the gray
Right
over
here?
here. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's giving you a preview of what it actually looks
But see, it doesn't, does it give you a total of the whole thing?
like. Yeah, here, I'll show you.
Okay, so that's what I'm missing.
Mhm. And so this is one of the elements of what I had you do.
Yeah.
And so with this one downloaded, we'll open it up. You can see what you have here. Right. So it says, boom, column, metadata, data, table notes. We'll just start with data. Metadata will tell you about those things. So it gives you, and this is just going to be population totals because that's all we grab. Right.
Oh,
Now, if I went back to the ACS and I grabbed the
where'd you get
race.
that from?
Oh, this one I just grabbed from there because as you click through it, what it does is it selects it as you go. And so it should have given me race, but it just gave me population stuff. So that's kind of interesting. So I'm gonna have to play with this some more because you can tell it's clunky. You saw how many times it took me to get through this to get it here. You have to follow the proper processes here. If you try to jump around, it won't necessarily display what you want. So you got to keep looking to make sure you get what you need. So it gets very, very difficult as you go. And this is just the first step, and I'll show you the other parts as we go. Let's see here. We'll also grab. Do, do, do. That'll work for right now. The other place I want you to go. Here. Don't want to change that. Let's go back to that. Assignments. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Get help. Search for missing children. Okay, so we've got this, that set. Where did it go? Right here. Boom. Okay, so the first thing I told you, so this has got counties here. This has got population totals. So we'll just deal with that to begin with. We can get the other data, race and that kind of stuff as we go. Get the breakdowns. That's not how we want it though, necessarily. Is it?
So what is that? Just the total?
Yeah, this is just total population by
No,
county.
because you want it by age. So you gotta go down
Okay.
every category and you gotta write every category down.
Okay.
Or put it in total.
I'll show you
To
the
get
quick
the
one.
age one to
Yeah.
accurately. That's
So-
what you'd have to do.
You can
But
keep-
if you don't want to, I don't know how you do it not
Mhm.
accurately.
So you can keep looking through this and we'll find the right ones if we could keep looking. But since we're running low on time, I'm gonna grab the other one real quick because I know it'll go a little bit faster. So rather than that one, I'm gonna grab, we'll grab this one, American Community Survey,
Yeah.
right? Say, download. Just that year, that's fine. You can grab more. They save more of this stuff. They have more of that available. I'll take it a second, then I'll open that up and I'll show you what it looks like. Because it'll be a little bit more complex. Okay. Says 100%. Where's it at? Oh, you're,
So do you want us to break it all down?
I want you to play with it so I can show you this next part. That's all I want you to do. I want you to look at it so we can start to see what the data looks like now. Now I'm going to show you how to start moving it around because it's the next interesting part. That is if it actually downloads it. It says triggering download. And it never popped up over here. Like I said, these things are buggy. Expect problems. If you think this part's fun, wait till you start playing with like geography stuff. That one's really buggy. All right, let's do this. We'll just refresh this whole thing. Okay, filters, all counties within Oklahoma, race. We'll just go with age and
Is that the whole
sex.
state?
Yeah, so this will be
Break
every
down,
county in
yeah.
the state. So as it goes, here it goes. That's what I wanted to show you. So if you got it set up right and it's running right, we click this one, it'll show you the same kind of thing. But as you roll to the left, it's not gonna let me show you. There's more columns out this way. And so what'll happen is this column is for Canadian County. The next one's for the next alphabetical one. Let me see if it will let me download. I want this one. Will you download it? Please download. There it goes. Okay. Data. Now, when you look at it, you will see this. It still didn't quite download it right. It didn't grab everything. So it's not working right now. That's interesting. Here, I'll show you what it actually looks like. That frustrates me because that should be a lot easier to get through. So I'm probably doing something wrong or it's just not working.
Oh, it's too much.
Yeah.
It's like you sit there and look at that and it's like you almost go friggin' bananas because you can't figure out what you're looking for.
Let me show you the next thing.
But my big question is, what do you want on that? What do you want?
Yeah.
You want us to break it all down? Like, no, I guess it's not specific, and that's what's driving me kind of a little bit batty.
I know. Watch this. So ACS, here we go. I'll grab one of these. This is what it should look like. Let me get the whole thing. I don't know why it keeps giving me partial data sets and not downloading everything. So I don't know if they're having a bug right now because it should look like this. This is one for American Community Survey. So I already knew what I was looking for, but it's just not popping up right for some reason.
Oh, okay.
All right. And so maybe we're running into issues with that. I'll look at what you guys submitted to see if it's giving you guys bugs too, because I don't know why it wasn't downloading this, because that's what it should have downloaded. Give you American Community Survey, that kind of stuff. Age and sex, right there. Data. Here's what it actually should look like. The same damn sheet that you were showing. I don't know why I wasn't downloading. It should have been. That's the problem. I'll play with that some more, see what exactly is going on there. But it'll give you this.
Yeah,
And so now you've got,
it kind of has that on there, but it's just a pyramid. It's male,
Yeah.
female. and then it's the categories, and then it's got, but it depends on the size of the state.
Yes.
Because if the state's a small, our state, county, because we're doing the county loans.
Mhm.
If it's like small county population, that's in to the person. In larger, it's to the
Yes.
K, it's to the thousand.
Yes.
So it depends on what you're
So-
looking at. The
There-
pyramid, yeah.
There's a few steps involved. So the first thing you keep in mind is that ecological fallacy. You can only aggregate up. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out where these people are going missing from. Right? So we're going to start aggregating to that county because that's where the rest of our details are. So we need to do a comparison to see, hey, we're finding that people are going missing from areas. How representative is this group in the areas they're taking? Right? So we start gathering this information, and if we get them all into the same kind of row, well, now you can start running the math on that pretty quick. Right? So here what you would do, we're going to file.
Because if you look at that,
Yeah,
a lot of
load.
them, most of them from the bigger city, like
Yeah.
New Mexico, there's Albuquerque, a lot, Las Cruces.
So in Excel, it looks like this, that kind of a thing. As you're playing with it, this county, you move over one, next county, move over one, next county, move over one,
Yeah, 'cause
next
that never
county.
came, I couldn't figure out how to get that up.
Yeah.
I went through each county. It'd break it down, but you'd have to
Mhm.
do math like crazy to figure all
Yeah.
that stuff out.
So there's easy ways to get it done without having to do it yourself.
So where did you get that from?
Should have been what it downloaded. Whenever I clicked download for all counties in
Yeah.
Oklahoma for the ACS, just like with the census stuff, what it was giving me was not the normal thing there. They're updating the website, so I don't know if that's something related. to
But are
that.
you expecting us to give you
No.
all that information?
No, I'm expecting you to just send me an Excel sheet that's got some information. So I'm gonna teach you how to do this.
Oh, just send that to
Yeah,
me.
just,
Okay.
if you're able to get to it, great. That's the first thing. Were you able to get to it? Because you saw I had.
'Cause I just wrote down
Yeah.
one pyramid, and that's like
Yeah.
that.
That's fine.
And then there's one there
Yeah,
that's
no,
like
that's
that.
fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Because what it is an introduction. You just went out and did something completely unnatural to some degree. How many times you guys go wandering out and census stuff? Zero.
But if you do 34 counties in
Yeah.
New Mexico, that'd drive me nuts trying
Yeah.
to figure all that stuff out by hand.
Yeah. So I'll start showing you, because originally this stuff started out, go back to like socialist organization theory. They did all this stuff by hand in the 1920s,
Yeah.
1940s.
That's what I'm saying. Technology
Yeah.
made this advance a lot.
Watch what I can do very, very quickly. So I'm going to open up a new one, right? I'm going to grab this same information right here, Control C. I copied it, right? So the first problem I have with this is not set up like I had that spreadsheet set up. In it, what you need is you need your variables here and your records here. They've got it set up to where your variables are here and your counties are running this way. So the first thing we need to do is flip it where it's set up to where we want it. So open up a new data sheet. Sometimes you'll have to go line by line. Sometimes you won't. If I do it like this, it'll move it over. If I come down here and I say transpose, it won't do that. Why is that? Boom. What's it doing there? That was weird. Okay, so let's do this. Unmerge everything. Unwrap the text. I don't like that either. Let's see if it lets me now. No, but nope. Still like this. Click the wrong button. Still won't let me do it. So here's what you have to do. You'll then have to go county by county, whichever ones you want. You can do that pretty simply. You leave that wrapping on there. It kind of makes it a little easier for this data set. I don't know if I'd necessarily recommend that. Now it's not wanting to move. What you do is you're going to grab a few columns, whatever it is you need. You're going to take it, move it over to a new spreadsheet, and transpose it. Here, let's get rid of this. Boom, because you're moving real slow. I don't like it. Control O. Let me that thing back up. Boom. Want to. So that'll grab the whole county. If I want to just grab here, say down, say down. See if that's big enough. First, we'll turn off this. This, keep that off. Merchant Center. Now we'll transpose it. Still not big, enough, still too big. So that's the way how it is sometimes.
It's too much information. Is that what
Yeah.
it is?
It's having issues moving that. So what you'll have
See,
to
that's
do
my
here.
problem is I'm not a computer.
Yeah,
person,
and
I'm
so
driving
that's part of
myself nuts. How to get it.
So go line by line, think, bring that back up. Now move. So sometimes you have to go line by line to get it set up right. Now our columns are starting to set up.
How'd you do
line.
that? again?
Transposed it. And so that's a function that's within Excel that's really, really handy.
Uh,
So if you come over here, whenever you paste something, you'll have to pop open this menu. Sometimes they'll tell you transpose, click, see if it does it again. No, it won't do it. I'll have to copy it again. So to do that, do this, boom, transpose. And now it's back this way, right? Sometimes you'll need to flip it when you're setting it up for these people. Where is that? Let me see if I can find that again here. And we were looking here, right?
Yeah.
Submit. For each of those to get their information, you're going to click into whatever records here for each of them.
The only thing it doesn't have in there, and I was gonna ask you this question, height and weight.
Yes,
Is it-
sometimes they
A lot
have
of
it,
them
sometimes they
None
don't.
of them do.
Yeah, so skip it. Yeah,
The race or
Is
the
there-
yeah,
color.
skip it.
Is there a place you found it?
Sometimes at the bottom, it would like give you a little description of who's
Mhm.
in it.
Yeah.
Maybe like John Doe,
Yes.
estimated height 5'1",
Yes.
5'2".
So sometimes.
Oh,
the
some of them.
information-
I must have, see, I didn't really click on
And-
every one.
Yeah, and there's like gray text at the bottom that'll like
Yeah.
give you, and it's crazy because something that I noticed while going through that is that a lot of the more like 2024, 2023, like had no description, but the further back you got, the longer the descriptions.
Yeah,
Okay, what are you seeing there?
because the only thing I didn't see was weight.
What are you seeing?
Height.
Maybe there's too much work, maybe it's time and attention, that kind of thing. Maybe someone who cares and someone who doesn't. Right, that's one of them.
Hmm.
All depends on what you're looking for, what you see. This is the one I always like to do. Boom. Okay, go to that last page. We're in the 1950s. Yes. See if they fix
Yeah.
this in the meantime. Hopefully they have. I've not contacted them related to
People are older than I am. Believe that or not,
the very end.
like 70 years old.
That's not a month ago. Error. You start catching those, you start seeing what's going on with that, you start identifying things. So what is this? Probably like what you're running into. Some data was put in incorrectly. Maybe. No way to tell though. I start looking, see what's going on there. Right? Because that's curious. Why that person's gonna be at the very end. When you start.
I figured out how to do your spreadsheet for the
Yeah,
missing persons. The census one is the one that's killing me.
Yeah, and so what you
I
end up doing.
don't know how in the world you send all that stuff to you.
Yeah, don't worry about that yet. Because first I want you to get used to looking at it. Now I'm gonna
So
teach you.
just send you that
Yeah,
spreadsheet.
so the
That's
next
all you
thing,
want.
yeah,
The
yeah.
first spreadsheet.
yeah, it's just send me any data whatsoever to show me that you're
The
looking. at
missing
it.
person.
Yeah, because it's something that first you're gonna have to look at it, you're like, okay, what am I looking at now? And I'm not
Yeah.
doing it right.
I'll just send you that because that census stuff is, I'm gonna have to figure out how to do that. 'cause I
Yeah.
don't know how to do it.
The other side of it is grabbing the information you can about the people that's there and putting it into a separate spreadsheet.
Yeah,
Then I'll show you next class how to take the separate information people, aggregate it to the county to get the counts that you need to be able to move stuff over.
Yeah.
What kinds of things?
do you think that might be a state thing too? Because I know
Yeah.
in Oklahoma, they didn't have any ages. or-
Yeah, it's probably distributed
Weight.
across people. They've got
Right.
different areas. Yeah, and so it's gonna be a number of different people who put this information in.
I mean, Not Arizona, New Mexico.
And so what'll end up happening there is different people do things differently.
Yeah, they didn't have that. They had everything else.
So-
And then they have over on the side, they'd have a
Mm-hmm.
note thing, like say when you drill down to that next page. They'd have the
Yeah.
notes. That had never had their ages or their weight or their height.
Mhm. And so it's one of those things, like you gotta
All right,
watch
I'll
it.
just send you what I got.
Yeah.
I got that figured out.
There. And-
That stuff's crazy. So how are you doing?
Cool.
Me?
All right. Well, with that, guys, I will catch you later.
I had a question.
Yeah, what's up?
Did you said you wanted the missing children data? Because I went to the map on, let me get to the website.
Yeah.
Wait 1 second.
Hey,
Let's see.
Listen,
one of the best.
There it is.
Scenarios. Get embarrassed or something.
talk about it.
Oh, maybe that's another
Sorry,
question.
I'm trying to find where I looked, I found it. There's a tab on the top of
Like
the,
when you're a child, you stick your hand in.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah.
on the missing and exploited children site.
Yeah,
On one of the tabs, it goes to a map, and I
you
would
can
say-
see them right there, huh?
and it's but I did long-term missing and unidentified children map.
Ooh. So you got right up into it. Okay, excellent. Cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what you got there then. That means you got into the
And
the
there
progress.
was, yeah, I found 50. There were 50 from my state, and I put all that data in the
Mhm.
Excel. Would that be fine, or
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. The
Okay.
big thing I said with this one is just get out there and start playing with it, so I can show you how to start moving around.
Okay. Because
No.
on that one it shows it has hyperlinks to their missing poster,
Mhm.
and then it also has a description on what they're wearing, their age, their height, their weight.
Okay,
and-
cool. Cool. So you went
So-
way above and beyond. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
That's excellent. All right. Well, with that, that's all I have for you all today. I'll catch up with you on Wednesday. You take care and have a great day.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.